Hello, Diane. Hello, Daniel. How you getting along? Oh, thank you, ma'am. How y'all doing tonight? Miss Bree, how you doing, girl? Hello, Miss Michael Ann and Kat. Karen, how you doing? Angie, how you doing, girl? Oh, I'm finding frog air split 4 ways or 6 ways or 30-second ways or something. I'm pretty good anyway. Well, you come to the wrong place. Yeah, I've been saying a little bit of that. I see a lot of people on the way out there, though. Well, get it together, Miss Ann. Are them puppies about to whip you? A frog flip what? I don't know. What you talking about, Ann? Ann, I mean, Bree. Well, you drinking that wine again, Bree. There was a lot of them posting up on video. I think it's going to keep a lot of the weekend warriors out there, the ones that pull it back up there on trailers and then get out and ride 5 miles to Sturgis. Hello, Fairy Duck. Oh, you geared to rock and roll then, huh, Johnny? Got your bull whip and your handcuffs ready to go, huh? Hmm. Well, I don't envy you driving a combine, Cat. I used to hate to work on them things. Oh, I'll never tell, Granite. Yes, ma'am. You know how kinky Janice is. Uh-oh. Ice cream time already. Yeah, that ought to be her nickname, Bree. Well, you got another video ready to download or upload, Bree? Damn, I didn't know what you were talking about there for a minute, Ann. Whew. Well, believe me, he could have stung you in a worse place, Ann. I can testify to that. I just hope there wasn't no doohickeys involved. There you go. Yeah, you ain't out of it yet, Janice. I got the keys to them handcuffs. I think they mink, my clan. Janice don't halfway do nothing. Mm-mm-mm. Damn. Hello, Amy. You got here just in time for the party. Mm. Yep, it's going downhill fast. Well, your husband didn't walk in when you're trying to get the stinger out, did it, Ann? They all do. The puppies would have helped you, Ann. Hey, Steve. Hmm. Steve, we may be in the wrong chat. Hello, Lily. I ain't no telling where tonight will wind up. Hello, Miss Lillian. How you feeling, Amy? And Jay got stung in the butt. Oh, that's great. Hmm. Well, I wish I could draw like my wife could. I could draw some characters. What do they call them? Character trees, like the cartoon sketches out of this live stream. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's a good thing I can't draw. I have to say it, Ann. I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. But maybe that was the biggest target they saw. Oop, I think I better go to the corner. I didn't mean it, Ann. I'm teasing. Don't hit me. Don't hit me again. Don't hit me. Oh, Lord. Mm-mm-mm. Sometimes your mouth overloads your ass. Well, wait a minute. That was the wrong choice of words. It let in. Just don't ask her if she needs you to kiss it to make it better. That's all I got to say. Just a little friendly advice. Yes, dear. At least I got a smile out of you, Ann. Boy, Steve, you better watch it. Hello, Rob. Hmm. Hey, Jaws, we sure picking on your wife. They still bouncing off the wall, Jarvis. Janice, you ain't gonna get me to go there. Mm-mm-mm. I may have to call in some reinforcements. Where's Kenny when I need him? That's what I'm scared of, Jaws. Yeah. see, you need to clarify what you're talking about. Oh, my Lord. Uh-oh. In trouble now.
I couldn't let you swing there, Ron.
You're doing, girl?
I'm good. Good.
That's good. Me too. As long as I can stay ahead of Ann.
I couldn't help but have a dig at you in the chat.
Oh, yeah. There were just so many one-liners you could do with all that.
Yeah, and keep it at least remotely respectable. Yeah, there's been many a time I've had to chew on my fingers to stop me from typing some response, or I've done a lot of deletions. Backspace, backspace, backspace.
You'd be wearing your own handcuffs, girl.
Yeah. Yeah, nah. That's one item I've never seen in my lifetime. Not on me, anyway.
That you're going to admit?
No, I'm happy to admit it. God, the only thing I've ever been ticketed for was a parking ticket. So I'm not doing too bad. Apart from that, my father sat on court. He was a magistrate on court. And had to keep my nose clean.
Oh, I never have stood a chance in here, Fairy Dust. Inside that, they all got wrenches, too. The only reason they ain't kicked me out of here is because they can't kick the one that opened the chat up out.
We don't have to, Ron. You spend more time off screen than on with your internet.
Do who?
You spend more time off screen than on with your internet.
Oh,
we don't have to kick you off. You do it yourself.
Maybe this new hotspot will work better. I had to go get a new one today. That's what happened last night.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
No.
That's okay. We're so attuned in chat that we keep ourselves busy.
Only thing I was worried about last night was I couldn't get back online to close everything out.
Well, that wouldn't have been new.
I guess finally I got back up on my phone. That's the only way I got back up, using it for a hotspot. Hello, kicking.
I haven't worked out how to do that.
Oh, Lord, there goes Diane.
I'm not touching that one.
Rocky, what are you doing?
I'd get banned if I responded to that comment, Diane.
That's going on.
Treat, Rocky, treat. Where's the treats? Treats.
He's looking around.
Treats. Where's the treats? Where is it? Where's the treats?
I can't reach that bag right now. He's looking at it.
You can't understand my accent, obviously.
You don't speak Aussie? Yeah. He's looking at that bag, though. He knows where they're at. You come up there and start barking at me and jump on me and then turn around and look at me and then look at the bag. That's what he's doing now, looking at that bag.
Rocky, treats.
Damn.
What's he doing, huh?
His ears are like radars.
Or in the hell, he's looking at the speaker.
Yeah.
Come on, get out.
Jesus, this cigarette's turning into an all-day sucker.
Yeah.
Every time I leave it alone for a minute, it dies. I've got to keep relighting the damn thing. That's a big stick for a little dog, Ron.
Yeah. He got his treat. He's happy for about 30 seconds. That's about all it'll take him to eat it. He is slightly spoiled.
Slightly.
Yeah. I want to take some pictures of him, catch him sprawled up there and lay on that pillow like a people. He got his pillow now. If I lay down and I lay my head on that pillow, he'll drag it out from under me. That's bad when a dog takes a pillow away from you.
Yeah, that was one thing I never tolerate. Wouldn't have my dog on the bed. She had her beanbag beside the bed, but yeah, it was either that or it was out the door.
I got used to that little Yorkie sleeping on the bed, and this now dog here now is different. But that little Yorkie, you just put his back up against it, and that was it. He never would move.
No, it'd been my experience. It didn't matter the size of the dog; they were always bed hogs.
Now, Rocky can take 3/4 of that bed up, and he ain't big as a popcorn fart. I told you, Steve, when you come in, you better watch yourself. The crew's on roll tonight.
His ears are red from watching the chat.
Oh, here come kicking. We'll let him take the lick for a while.
Hey, kicking.
Mm-mm-mm. Dang, she got you trained too, Joe. You just get one bowl.
We bred our Labrador bitch years back, and we kept 3 of the pups. There was 2 males and a female, and they were always fed out of the one bowl. And there was never any disagreements with them. They all had their share, and yeah, it was. They were, but a lab, that's typical of their temperament too. And they were in heaven where they were, because we had water frontage, which was a tributary controlled by the Murray River, from the Murray River, and you couldn't keep those dogs out of the water. Yeah, we were on an island where we were, and one of them in particular used to disappear. He'd head off downstream, and you wouldn't see him for a couple of hours, and then an hour later a couple of hours later he'd cruise past the house, still in middle stream, and he'd head upstream and disappear again. Yeah, and then he'd come back. But he'd go past the house occasionally just to check and make sure anyone was looking for him. He wouldn't get out of the water. Best dog I've ever seen. It was never trained to the gun or anything, but best dog I've ever seen in the water. He could sneak up on a duck.
You know,
he left a trail less than what a snake does in the water, and or it was only just the top of his nose. His body would be slightly submerged, and just his ears sitting on the water, and he'd paddle, and he could do it all day long.
Would y'all have any gators or anything? Any crocodiles in there?
No. I'm down south. We don't get crocs. They're only up in the tropics. They're really from Tropic Capricorn on that you've got to look for in Australia. Yeah, they're up in the warmer waters. But yeah, no, down here, no, the only thing they'd be contending with in there were carp, or there was a couple of cod in there. I reckon I saw two there one day. They were just laying in the warm, in the top surface water in the warm, and just slowly idling along. Oh, they were so bloody big. I reckon you could have skied behind them. Yeah, I reckon one fish would have been easy, 3 foot long. Yeah, just laying across laying over on its side, just swimming along on the water top. And the other one, cruising with it was not quite as, would have only been a couple of foot long, but God only knows how many pound of fish they were.
I had 2 labs. I had a yellow and a black. The yellow's a female. And that black loved water. Lord, he get around water. I don't care if it was just raining outside. He's going to be in it. Swim. And that yellow, she was too prissy. She didn't even like to get her feet wet.
Oh, God.
And for a lab, that's unusual.
Yeah.
Now, when she decided she wanted it in the water, that was a different ball game. But that was crazy dog I ever seen about that.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, the labs that we kept were, they just, you couldn't keep them out of the water. Winter, summer, made no difference. Yeah, and as one of them, as poor old Clemmy, as he aged, he was starting to get quite arthritic. But didn't matter, middle of winter, he'd go in that water, and we'd have to go down and get in to get him back up on the bank again. He'd be that damn almost crippled with arthritis, and and the cold, and dry him off and put him to bed. But you couldn't keep him out of the water. They're unreal.
I've seen that stupid black of mine hit a lake or something and swimming around, and it'd be so damn cold that he was solid black. He would step out on the bank, and within 2 or 3 minutes, he'd be snow white because all that water done froze on his hair. Man, he looked like a porcupine.
No, we never get it that cold down here, but
well, it's like below where I was at that night.
And where I'm talking about, where we had the property, is 3.5 hours from here. It's up on the New South Wales border. Well, the Murray is the border between Victoria and New South Wales. But you could get some frosts over winter, through early morning. But mostly your temperatures through the days, would be 15 and upwards Celsius. Yeah. Usually up there was about 2 to 3 degrees Celsius higher than what it is down where I am in Melbourne.
What are you fussing about? I don't know what you want.
Treat. Woof, woof, woof. Got him going. Treat. Tell him, Rocky. Tell him. Treat.
What do you mean? Where's that at? Huh? What's it at?
Crazy dog.
Hey,
That's enough.
Getting him worked up.
Where he thinks he's a movie star.
He wants a treat, Ron.
He
Give
would.
him another
He
stick. Don't be mean.
he knows better than to get into that bag because he'll get in trouble. But I guarantee you that you could sit here and feed him that whole bag and he'd eat them. He loves them things.
Yeah. Yeah. Give him another treat.
Do you want a treat?
Is the Pope a Catholic?
Do you really want a treat? Talk to me. Just one? Just one treat. You sure? Huh?
Like I say, I don't know who got who's right. Ow! That was my finger.
You should have made him sit, Ron, and behave himself to take it. Mm. Oh, God. Hang on, I've got to close the window. The rain's coming down here now. And if it gets too heavy on the galvanised iron roof, makes that much noise out in my garage. Can't hear myself thinking here. My sister-in-law was telling me the other night, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. She said they copped hail up there. It was as big as golf balls. They made a mad dash to get their cars under cover.
Oh, listen, this dog here is a character. He got more personality than most dogs I've ever had.
No, it's good company.
And I think the bulldog has got something to the breed is sort of like that.
I had a little terrier mix. I inherited her actually, and she was a wire hair come. Well, the vet reckons that she had corgi in her, and I said, well, I've got absolutely no idea. I said she'd come from a pet shop, and I said I can't help it if her mother was a sport. Yeah. When he first asked me what she was, I said I haven't got a clue. I said she's a terrier of some description. But she was the best little dog I ever had, and the last.
The best dog I ever had, and I like all of them, but that yellow lab I had, now that dog was special.
Yeah.
Something else.
You had what?
Kicking.
8 cream labs we had.
I need to buy me a small black stone. Most of the ones I see down here are so big for one person, they're just a waste.
Yeah, about the biggest dog I'd ever have again, if I was to have another dog, would be a lab. Anything bigger than that is just too much. Yeah, too big a dog to handle. But for me, just around here, well, you know, I just call a dog, but yeah, I don't know, maybe 16, 18 inches at the withers in height. She wasn't a big dog, but she wasn't tiny either. Nor was she, well, she was a furball, but she had a triple coat. You used to have to watch her with heat exhaustion in summer. But yeah, she was classed as a short hair.
I'm glad you're in here, Jaws. They can pick on you for a little bit for a change.
That's Scott, isn't it? Jaws Jr. That's Anne's husband, isn't it?
It says something about my accent. I tell them I don't have an accent. I just talk slow.
Uh,
Yeah, but I tell you what, they can wear you down after a while.
who?
What do you mean, who? Your foot don't fit no limb. You ain't no owl.
What? What did you say? I couldn't understand one word of that. What did you say?
I said, who? You're not an owl. Your foot don't fit a limb. You know,
Okay.
you know what owl is?
I know what an owl is. Yeah, an owl is a bird. Yeah.
You know what a limb is?
Yeah, of a tree. Yeah.
And a foot.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
see,
you ran them all together, and I couldn't understand a word you said. wasn't wasn't an interpretation issue. It was just a mess that should come out your mouth.
sometimes not being able to understand somebody is a blessing.
Yeah, but I don't like anyone to get away with anything, especially if I've got a good comeback for it.
Oh Lord. Yeah, I bet that's right, Scott. I got a buddy of mine, Daryl, that he wears one of them Blackstones out now. He cooks on that thing nearly every night. And up until he had got that Blackstone, he fried a lot of food. Since he got that Blackstone, I haven't seen him fry anything. He can cook some good food on it. Did you get one loaded, Paradise? I know she was working on one. I had to redo a septic line and everything on my trailer. I got all my yard where I barbecue and stuff tore up right now. And
Shitty job, that one.
yeah, it wasn't all of it was new, so it wasn't bad. But I got tired of fooling with them damn hoses, and I put some plastic pipe in. A whole lot better than them hoses, especially with that damn rocky around here. Last time I went to drain that tank, I've got one in portable tank. I went out there and I flipped that valve on. It looked like a sprinkler system come on. I went out there to look, and Rocky'd been chewing on that damn hose. Mm. I took him inside and brushed his teeth.
Yeah.
He ain't licking me on the damn nose. I know where that tongue's been.
Now, you know why he was doing it? That was just to get rid of the taste out of his mouth.
Scott, the first time that somebody said that to you, did it surprise you? I didn't know how to take that. I mean, I appreciated it, but I really didn't know how to take it. Well, I watched that video of Roy today on that monsoon. He wasn't lying about that rain coming down. Boy, that's a flood.
Yeah, well, Diane's been saying that all the flooding around her, up her way too, has been terrible.
Well, they getting rain in some weird places this year. I mean, and other places not getting any rain at all.
We've had our fair share of it here, I know that. Not so much where I am. But further north, up into sort of southern Queensland and through New South Wales and that, God, they've had their fair share of it. But it's feast or famine here. It's either we're either in drought and everything's just tinder dry and dust, or we get rained on and and everyone starts building an ark.
I tell you what, I'm sort of nervous about this where I live. It's just grass, but I don't think I've ever seen that stuff that dry. Man, anything would start a fire. Hello, rat bag.
Do you get around and slash it, Ron, or
What's normal for y'all to get, Steve?
do you slash your property, Ron, or mow, or whatever the case may be?
Wait a minute, say that again. I'm sorry.
Do you slash your property or mow, or whatever the case is for the size of your property?
They really mow, but there's about 20 acres around me that's just open pasture. And it was weird here this year because in the spring it rained, it was wet. And so the grass got up, nearly waist high.
You got cattle on the acreage?
Yeah, that buddy of mine's got cattle on him. But he had sold most of his cattle off and was wanting to do a bunch of fence work and stuff. But now, all that tall grass, it got so dead that, it'll just crunch it so dead. Man, if you was to get a spark, that's all it'd take.
Yeah, well, here in the rural areas and that, all the councils that we have that, they're like your counties, I guess. They put out slashing requirements, and it's in a requirement under law. You get fined, they'll come in and slash it for you and make you pay otherwise, and as well as a fine. But any unattended grass, especially across the fire seasons and things like that, it's a requirement under law, and it's got to be slashed. Yeah, you got cattle on it. It's not an issue, where they're chewing all the time. But yeah, unattended grass growth. It's a hefty fine, and the council will put a contractor in on to slash it, and you've got to pay that as well.
Well, the cattle, there's trees out in the middle of it with brush around them trees, and of course that's green, and the cattle are going to there.
Yeah.
But now I'm scared to. Usually I'd go out there and shred it, but I'm scared to put a shredder out there right now because if you hit a rock or a piece of steel, you just be having a fire.
No, that's something that you got to do in the lead up to the season. That before the hot weather sets in.
But usually I mow it I help him, and I'll mow it in the spring. And I did this year, but it grew back up. It's so wet that it grew back, couldn't get back in there. And that's one reason he sold a lot of his cattle off, because it was just getting to be a muddy mess,
Yeah.
And I've got tickled at them talking about they're trying to pull the wool over our eyes again, talking about the southern states selling all their cattle off. They do that about every 7 or 8 years here in Texas when it gets dry and they don't have enough pasture. Well, they sell off and, keep some mama cows and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, keep their breeding stock. Yeah, we do the same here. Yeah.
And they act like this is something new, we're going to run out of.
Well, we have to here because simply especially over the drought times, and I mean drought can last several years here, and especially out in the plains and things like that they've got to sell their cattle off, otherwise they can't feed them, and we have there's several crowds, but one in particular that comes to mind. He's out of New South Wales. I think he's New South Wales, on the border there somewhere. He's a truckie, and he organises when there is drought affected areas and that, he organises several runs a year, and they call them the hay runners, and they get all the donated hay from all the southern reaches, and the big rolls of hay or the big cubes of hay, whatever they can get their hands on, and it's nothing for them to have about sometimes there are about 40 odd trucks or more. They head north and they head up to wherever their point of deployment's going to be, whether it be some little showground in some outback Timbuktu spot, and all the farmers will come in with their equipment. They'll unload all the hay, and all the farmers come in with their equipment and get their allocations, and at least they got something to feed their stocks on. But not only do they transport that, they'll have the big bags of dog food for for their cattle dogs, and they'll also a lot of the supermarkets and that will put in gift cards and what have you for foodstuffs. They'll also transport foodstuffs as well. So they do a mighty effort to get them into the outreaches.
These are
The
big
ones I'm referring to are the Burrumbuttock hay runners. Yeah.
these are round bales, that they bale now. Normally they run about $25 a bale. Somebody told me they were $75 to $80 a bale this year.
They can get awful expensive here too. I don't know what a bale of hay goes for these days down here, but I know it's certainly not cheap. But with the droughts and that, they've got no ground coverage at all, and they've got no water to support any growth, so they can't even get hay. And the cattle are, they've chewed everything out, so they have to downsize and just keep their minority herd down to to their breeding stock or whatever, sell off the rest. But even just to sustain them, they're hand feeding them the whole time. Things get quite desperate.
I'm going to tell you,
our meat prices go up and down all the time.
if I wanted to start a new business, that's one that I would be getting into is the butcher business. Here, right now, people have got to buying calves and raising them. The meat's got the high, so they're raising them and butchering them. I checked for a friend of mine about getting a calf butchered the other day, and they're 7 months out. 7 months before you can get one butchered.
Yeah.
Boy, that's getting behind. You're talking about if they can do 4 or 5 a day in them little meat plants, that's a lot of cattle.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we still have. You were talking about it the other day. You made a reference to it. You don't have any butcher shops anymore. We still have butcher shops everywhere here. In fact, I've got one, two just up the road here from me. That's just sell meat. Butchered meat, and but we've got our abattoirs and things like that right across the country. They're working all the time. And that's that's beef, pork, sheep, and you've got chicken. It's a whole it's a big industry here.
Boy, I tell you what, they can sure overcook a steak and ruin a good steak. I know that.
Who, us?
They're just talking about people cooking steaks.
Oh.
You can take a steak that's got a fantastic flavor and do part of it medium rare or medium well, and do the other part well done, and that well done part don't even have any taste to it.
I must admit, I don't like mine, burnt to a frazzle, but I do like the moo taken out of mine. Yeah. I don't like to see running blood in it. Yuck. Take the moo out of it, and it's all good. Seared on the outside, and just heading off pink, on the inside, and that's good.
I like one pink in the middle, but I want one, you know. Y'all gonna make me go buy a steak and fix it tomorrow.
I haven't had a steak for so long now. I can't remember the last time I had a steak. Too bloody dear.
Ooh, Lillian, you killing me. You kill a steak doing that.
What'd she do to it?
How about well
Yeah,
done?
I like mine just over medium towards well done. Sear on the outside to seal in the juices, and then just cook just enough. Yeah, it's so tender still that you can just pull it apart with a fork.
Yeah.
Mm.
Good old baked potatoes, a little butter, and a little cheese.
So, is Kenny here? Bit of sour cream.
Yeah. You know, that's something I never did get in the habit of. That fact was eating steak for breakfast.
Oh no, too heavy.
That's just not mine.
I've never really been a breakfast person.
That's the way it's supposed to be, Michael Ann. I tell you what, I got to be honest though. There's one thing I'd rather have better than a steak, and that's prime rib. I love rare prime rib now. Ooh,
I fillet steak. Oh, yummy.
you like that?
Nice porterhouse steak.
Porterhouse?
Well, yeah, I feel it, of course, is the cream of the cream, but I'm not fussed on meat on a bone.
Go buy a steak. No.
Like a T-bone or something like that. I could take or leave.
Oh, you like that prime rib too, Diane? Well, I can't eat eggs, so that knocks that out pretty good. I stopped by today. I had to go pay some bills in Waco, and I stopped by IHOP this morning, and they make I love waffles. I'm not too crazy about pancakes, but I really like waffles. Well, they've got a special on waffles, which is sausage and the waffles and 2 eggs and well, I can't eat those eggs, so I always get them put hash brown and bring me pecani sauce too. Boy, you talk about full. Now you eat one of them big waffles and then eat a big deal of hash browns, and you ain't worried about eating for a while. Oh yeah.
I don't eat a lot of. I don't eat a lot of eggs. Even as a kid, never ate a lot of eggs. And one stage there in my working career, I used to work at the Commonwealth Serum Laboratories. We worked on 24,000 fertilised chicken eggs a day. And I reckon it took me a good 10 years before I could even look at another egg after that.
Yeah, and I like that horseradish on that prime rib too. Ooh. You sound like Daryl's daughter. That's all you do on it. You just throw it on the grill, leave it about 30 seconds, and turn it over about 30 seconds, and she's ready to eat.
Oh, yeah. And,
Yeah, and my deal is if I got any steak left, I'd just soon have it the next morning and throw a little barbecue sauce on it or something like that. All right, go back. You can think about that steak while you're working, kicking. I'm getting hungry for ribs again. Is what I'm getting hungry for.
I had so much time up my sleeve this morning because I got up at 8 o'clock this morning, and I was in bed early last night, which was certainly novel for me. I crashed, but I even had lunch at lunchtime today instead of about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and been up and did all my shopping and got all that away and sorted out and made myself some lunch. And then I was hunting around for things to look at, catching up on some me. And then at 2:30 I come looking for you and you weren't on. And so I watched the tail end of River. I didn't comment, I was just listening. And then I come across here and you'd already been on for 2 minutes. So
Well, I think we stayed on there 2.5 hours last night. But
yeah. That was why I was surprised. I went hunting to see why you weren't on. I think it was at about 2:38 my time. And I thought, oh, Ron's late, why? And then I went hunting and I saw River had a live, so I just went and caught the tail end of that. And then they said they were coming across to here. And so.
yeah, there's some tricks to that. I got an ex-son-in-law, and that boy could cook. Daryl and my ex-son-in-law, I love to go fishing or camping with them because both of them love to cook, and I like to eat. So we get along real well. And they'd be cooking stuff, be fighting over which one's gonna cook what, and I'm just sitting there smiling.
You just wait for the end product.
Yeah,
Yep.
And they're both damn good cooks too.
I don't mind cooking occasionally. I mean, I'd hate to have to sit down and cook for, like Kat does, like an army of people every day. I couldn't do that. I could never get everything ready at the same, at the right time. But when the fancy takes me, I'll have a bit of a play around cooking something. I don't do pastries or anything like that. That's a rarity to me. But I always cook for myself daily. I have one hot meal a day. I learned very early, that you couldn't survive on takeaway. I got thrown to the wolves early and had to fend for myself. So, I learned very quickly that takeaway wasn't the answer. So I taught myself to cook.
Well, it got down to time to fix supper tonight. I wasn't in the mood to cook, so my supper was a frito pie. That's so easy.
I love living. I live out of my freezer. I'll have cook-ups, and where I'll cook a large load of something, and I tub it down in size to meal sizes, and then I freeze it. So I've always got something on hand, whether it be lasagna or the bolognese meat for pastas, or a casserole or something. It's been tubbed down into half a dozen meals or whatever. And I've always got something in the fridge or in the freezer to get out to throw together for a meal, as well as whatever I have in between times. My salads, or I might do a bit of chicken or something like that, or my stir fries. Well, stir fries only take you a few minutes to knock up and cook, and I love those. I love my veggies. So.
And I tell you, it's funny. The only trouble is if you hook up with somebody that both of you like to cook or both of you don't like to cook.
No, if it was a case of it where both like to cook, I'd bow out happily. I'm like you. I'd sit in the sidelines and wait to be fed. Yeah,
Sit there and brag on them.
yeah, because I'm sure everyone else is a damn better sight cooking it than what I am. So,
Well, the bad part about
he's gone. Diane, get out the glue, girl. Oh dear. Yeah, that's the worst part I don't like, Michael-Anne, is the clean-up afterwards. I can make a heck of a mess. Yeah, when I have my cook-ups, I'll have a sink full of dishes and pots and pans and bits and pieces. Yeah. Oh, hello. His wheels are spinning. He's back.
yep. Boy, that was out of the blue.
It's all right. It's all right, Ron. I held the fort for you. The Alamo's not taken yet.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, I'll make a big meal, a big pot of spaghetti or something like that, and I'm gonna take and put about 3 meals in the freezer. And if I don't go ahead and do it right then, if I let it cool off, I think, I'm gonna make one more meal out of it, and I wind up eating the whole damn thing before I put it in the freezer. So I don't it's over, if it's good.
What I tend to do with that sort of thing, Ron, is I'll buy 2 kilo of mince, which is 2.2 pounds to a kilo. So that's 4.5 pound of mince, and I'm in a big pot, and I'll make up the makings for a spaghetti bolognese. And when all that's cooked and simmering, I'll then throw together half of that and make a lasagna. And the lasagna can usually be cut to 6 meal sizes. And for the balance of the half that I don't use in the lasagna, I'll just tub that up into small tubs to have with just spaghetti or gnocchi or whatever takes my fancy there. But for the rest left in the pot, I'll turn it into a chili con carne. And I'll add my good night, Anne. I'll add my the kidney beans and the spices and some chili and what have you, and turn that into a chili con carne, and then tub that up. Make the best chili beef nachos with that. Kenny's not here, is he? With sour cream and guacamole and a drizzle of sweet chili sauce over it. Oh, yummy.
Yeah.
And so for that alone, all up, other than what I fed myself on that night after cooking it, I could have easy 20 or so meals tubbed up and thrown in the freezer. So
I'll do it sometime. Sometime I just take an ocean to eat. Diane's laughing at me. I made one of them lemon pies the other day. I got hungry for it. And it lasted 2 days. I ate that whole damn pie.
Oh, I'm the same. Yeah, it burns a hole in my pocket. I can't leave it sitting there looking lonely. I have to plough through it.
Good night, Miss Angie.
Night, Anne.
And I tell you what, good food is hard to come by, but there ain't nothing worse than bad food. While I was driving that truck, you eating a lot of greasy spoons. They nearly ruined me on beef. I got where I didn't like beef anymore. Just the way they fixed it in them places, just bleh. And but it's taken me several years to get back where I really enjoyed a good steak or something.
I think I'd be lucky if I had takeaway once every 1 to 2 months. Yeah, and yeah, it's just not high on my agenda. Yeah, but when you're on the road traveling all the time, unless you got your own amenities, you're virtually at the mercy of where, especially truckie. Unless you could cook something for yourself or have something already pre-cooked and in foil and shove it on the manifold of the motor to heat it up as you're running along or something. But yeah, you're at the mercy of wherever the next stop is. But
Yeah.
what are you looking at, Ron?
Trying to the sound cut off for a minute.
Who, me or you?
Both of them, just the whole thing went dead for a second.
Oh,
They,
so I was talking to myself.
yeah, and it was like everything just shut down.
Oh,
I couldn't hear you talking or anything. It's weird. Everybody I know is having hell with their internet right now, or a lot of people I know. I think they've overloaded this system around here, and I'll be glad when that Starlink get their stuff sort of unkinked.
could be weather-wise too, I guess, where the atmospherics could be interfering a lot, with your weather systems that you've been getting over there recently.
Right around here, this area of Texas is growing like crazy. I'm talking about every corner you look at, there's a high rise going up or apartment complexes and stuff. And they've just got a real big influx of people. And I just don't think they can handle it here because
Yeah.
it steadily got worse,
Yeah, well, that's not unlike here, like in the suburbia and things like that, because it's an older area, they're larger block sizes. And of course, well, this house here is 72-year-old now. And like anyone comes in and buys it, if I put it on the market, the first thing they'll do is bowl it over, and they build, tenement, what do you call them, condos or whatever. It might be a series of half a dozen units on it, and I call them kennels because they're just like damn kennels, But because it's close proximity to the city and things like that, they squeeze them all in. But the problem is it's still going through existing infrastructure, like your sewers and your water and everything else, that's over 100-year-old. And yeah, it just doesn't take. And not only that, they cement out or cover all the land, and so there's no like with inundation. Like, we never had problems here ever in my lifetime growing up with floodings or things like that. But now, because of the catchment, the water catchment, no percolation in soiled areas because there are none. It's either under cement or it's covered by dwellings. The inundation of places, and the storm damage that's happening because of it is unreal.
Hello.
And insurances are sky high because of it. Hi, Marvin.
How you doing tonight? Marvin. I got a cousin named Marvin. That's not a real common name.
No.
Oh, me. I ate too much tonight on that frito pie. And I'm bad about loading it up with jalapenos and all that kind of stuff. And it wound up about half giving me heartburn.
Yeah, I like spicy foods, but it's, I can't. You guys seem to eat an awful lot of it, in one form or another. And I think my stomach would give out on me too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it's what you get used to eating, how much you eat. It's just habit
Yeah.
more than anything else.
I know up on your East Coast and that, I think for the first week I was there, oh, my stomach just, I was in pain with it. Yeah, just trying to acclimatise to the foods. And the amount of, um, everything was greasy to me. Yeah. And yeah, it was just I was in a case of overload, and it took a while to settle down. But
But
I,
like
I
it,
know with my friend and that, because I was staying at her place
like
as we radiated out. But I took over cooking
it's like that
there for a while.
Frito pie that I made. It had enough Fritos in it and enough cheese and stuff. It's not greasy, you know. But now you can load it up. I know some people that like chili. Damn, that big grease a half inch thick on top of a bowl of chili. But I can't eat that.
Mhm.
Don't like it either.
Yeah, I think too, even with cheese, you can have overkill with cheese and things like that. That was one thing I noticed. You have a lot of. I Again, I can only speak for. I was in Virginia and North Carolina and what have you. I can only speak for sort of the cuisine around that area. But yeah, cheese rates a high rating on, for just about everything that you eat. That and tomato sauce, or what you call ketchup, and uh, yeah, and of course greasiness. To me, everything was greasy.
I don't think you can cook bacon wrong. I love bacon.
Yeah, I like bacon, but it's got to be, if it's got rind on it, it's got to be crisp and almost dry. But my bacon that I use in cooking and things like that, I only buy what they call the shortcuts, and I cut off, well, as I do with all my meat, I cut off all visible fat, and before I even start cooking.
No, I like bacon crisp too. Now I
Yeah,
get added flavor,
yeah.
uh, but
But I've never been one to eat meat fat, and it just turns my teeth
my
on edge.
my dad would fight you like if you had a steak and it had fat around the outside of it. He'd rather eat that fat than he had the steak.
Mm,
I
mm,
was like that.
no,
And he was just that way.
no.
Well, I got started today putting another one of those deals about when I was a kid together. So maybe,
Walk down memory lane.
yeah, have a couple of them ready to go here before long.
Oh, good. Yeah, I enjoyed the last one.
So, yeah.
Well, you can already rule out your doohickey story, your bumblebee sting. You've told us about that one. What else have you told us about? Oh, and the cow with the birds in the tail, and yeah, yeah.
Oh, I've got a lot more of them.
Yeah. Well, those ones you can leave off the list. We've heard those several times. So yeah, we need some new stories. Yeah, yeah. And then they will be bedtime stories.
Well, but I'll probably put them in at some point just on account of my kids.
Yeah. No, well, that's the way. Why not? Yeah,
So,
yeah. Because kids of today, everything is easy come, easy go. Whereas back in our time, yeah, you had nothing to start with. So You know, you made a hell of a lot out of very little, and yeah, and you know, we knew how to entertain ourselves as kids, but kids these days don't seem to have the imagination. So long as you can shove a telephone or a tablet or a TV in front of them, you can't entertain them at all. And yeah, it's a whole different world, whole different ball game for kids today. Not all kids, of course, but yeah.
Hello, KT. Well, I got, it's real funny. Since I started that, I've come up with stuff that I hadn't thought about in years and years and years and years, you know. And
Yeah,
I'm surprised how much I can remember because, like, even the one that I'm gonna post tomorrow, the next day, that's all before I was 5 years old. And
yeah,
it's amazing what you remember sometimes.
yeah. See, I only had my two brothers up until I was 5. We were the only kids in our immediate area, and so things were just a blur, really. You know, they hum, and they'd go off to school, and I'd be by myself all day. So you know, very little, sticks out in mind. Yeah, and those younger days. But from 5 on, well, neighbours moved next door, and yeah, they had kids around my age. And then, of course, yeah, I started school because my birthday had been in the middle of our year here. Yeah, I couldn't start school until I was 5.5. So yeah, by then I was starting to read, and yeah, I could start to write even before I went to school. But yeah, so then things, sort of stick in your mind from then on, where you've got interaction with others.
Well, I tell you what, KT, you listen to as many of them stories as you can and try to remember them because, boy, I get to thinking about my grandparents and some old friends of mine that were a lot older than me. I'd give anything if I had a tape of some of the conversations I had with some people that I used to hunt with that were like 50 years older than I was. Hang on just a minute. I got to let this dog out. I'll be right back.
Yeah, well, I didn't have any grandpas. My grandfather on my mother's side was killed when she was 9. And my grandfather on my dad's side, he died before my mum and dad were married. So, yeah, I've got no grandpas I can talk about. Grandmothers, yeah. Um, but that was it for going back in history as such for, yeah. But, hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was, I'm with you, Diane. It was a way of, entertaining ourselves. Yeah, it's, yeah, just what you pick up. And because both my brothers were older than me too. So I was, getting taught by them too, as such. But, yeah, no, but up until then, very much a loner. Well, I had no one else to play with.
Ooh, I'm sorry about that, William. Well, I'll tell you, some of the family trees I know, but the people, it's not. If you know stories about the people that are on your family tree or where they lived or this kind of stuff, it's different than just a name there,
Yeah.
you know. And
I know the name of the boat that my ancestors come out on from Ireland. In 1859 they arrived, and to Australia, and that was sort of the gold rush era here, and the two of them brothers that came out set up. They got into mining, and but I certainly never knew them, of course. Um, yeah, or so what? I'm 5 generation Australian now, so yeah. But yeah, that sort of history. I know bits and pieces of, but the individuals, no, they were long gone. And as I said, I didn't even know my own grandfathers, because my mum's father was killed when she was 9, and my dad's father was killed before my mum and dad were married, so didn't know them at all.
Yeah, it really is, KT. I can think about going hunting, not hunting, but going camping with my dad and his cronies. And of course, they were a lot older than me, but sitting around listening to the tales, And then that one lawyer that I hunted with for years, uh, he was a lot older than me, but he was born, I think he was born like 1899 or something like that. He was on up in age when I met him. And you could get him about 3 beers under his belt and around a campfire, and get him started talking. Well, it was just like talking to a history book, you know, about just little things that you don't ever read about, and that intrigues me.
Yeah, my grandma on my dad's side, she was born in 1898, and so she was saw the first modern Olympic. Well, not saw it, but saw pictures and what have you from the first modern Olympics. She was born on the first, actually on the 29th of February, so she had a birthday every 4 years. But yeah, it was interesting. Her dad used to drive for Cobb and Co, which is probably like your Wells Fargo type thing, and that did all the mail service and what have you with horse and carriage and back in the day. But yeah, no, it's good. It's interesting to hear, and and just how tough things were then. Yeah.
One of the most interesting books I've ever read, and I don't know what happened to it. I think I lost it in a divorce someplace. But it was about a guy that was an artist, but the book it wasn't a normal book. It was a diary, and this guy was in the, I don't 1700s, 1800s when the wagon trains were first getting started, and he started across the country from St. Louis going to Oregon, and he wrote about just everyday life, about what they did, and things that you don't realize. I teased Kenny about eating that fried grasshopper, but they were talking about the locusts and the grasshoppers saved more people out there in high plains than anything else did.
Mm.
Because that was the only kind of protein they could find. Because the animals came through there, but they weren't there all the time. They were talking about the light. Said you had to have a campfire because you couldn't carry enough cooking oil and stuff like that to burn the lanterns all the time. And it just, oh man. And then this guy got one of the big passes, and it was too late in the year, they couldn't cross it. So he got off that wagon train and joined a bunch of Indian camp he met. And he wrote for about 3 years of just what the daily life was like in a Indian camp, Indian tribe. And that was interesting about what the kids did, and how they cooked, and how, like, they'd kill a buffalo. They didn't bring a buffalo to the camp. They'd move the camp to the buffalo. And it said that a full grown man, if they killed, a bunch of buffalo, they couldn't keep the meat, except, start jerking it. but said they might eat 20 pounds of meat in a day. If one person, that they just gorge on him. But those kind of books, I love them too, Diane.
Yeah, store and fat. It brings to mind, and Diane would know about it too, Mike King on profiling evil. He wrote a book about his great-grandmother, I think it was. The book is called She Knew No Fear. And, yeah, she was a pioneer into the Utah area. And, yeah, they did, I forget the name of the crossing, but they created a stairway down a cliff face, and they lowered the carriage, not carriages. What do you call them? The camp thingos, and and all their cattle and lowered them all down. Oh, I forget how many hundreds of feet down this cliffside. And that'd be a fascinating story to read.
Yeah, and some of the stuff like that, I enjoy reading that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that Lonesome Dove, that little movie that they come out with. I had read the books about Charles Goodnight, and that Lonesome Dove was taken from that. And Charles Goodnight actually did everything that's in that book. I mean, in that movie. And
and of course, we all grew up on the John Wayne movies and the cowboy and Indian stuff. It didn't matter where you were in the world, we got them all. Good night, Lillian.
He was a hell of an actor, so he was good at that. I have a friend of mine that sold cattle to John Wayne. He's a cattle buyer, and they ship cattle out to him every year, that big ranch out in Arizona. And I went out there with him one time and I didn't get to talk to him. I just spoke to him, said hello, but met him out there. And he was just a real quiet, soft-spoken old boy.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say, I know that's Dickie, and I keep wanting to say doohickey.
Yeah. But we've all got our histories, in our respective countries and things like that. I mean, we had the pioneering here as much as what you guys did with exploring undiscovered lands and things like that. So yeah, it's all made for interesting reading.
Yeah, and can you imagine? You talk about different things that's happened. It's like that old boy, that Japanese soldier that they found in the Philippines, and he hadn't been around anybody since 1946. Can you imagine what it was like in 1946 compared to now?
Yeah.
Just, hello, T.
Hi, T.
That had to be a cultural shock out of this damn world now.
Yeah, well, not only that, a lot of he would have been one case, but from what I understand, there was many of the Japanese soldiers that were isolated after the war and weren't even aware that the war was over, and they were discovered, quite some time afterwards, especially on a lot of the outlying islands and things like that through the Pacific.
Yeah, this one guy that I read about, he had got dropped on that island in 1946.
Yeah.
Just as the war ended.
Yeah.
And he had lived on that island by himself for all them years.
Mm.
And he was like 80 years old, I think, when they found him. But it's something else.
Would have had me buggered, Ron. I hate fish. He wouldn't have had a hell of a lot to live on other than probably fish. Depends on which islands he were on, of course. I mean, fresh water or two would have been an issue. in some of them.
Well, that's we were talking about the feral hogs the other night taking Texas over. I was reading. They said the Spanish, and English, when the big naval fleets were the big deal, sailing ships, said they could haul, pigs on them boats. And boats, I mean, them sailing boats were, uh, they'd have enough scrap food and stuff that they could feed them pigs, and pigs would eat anything.
Hmm.
They said every island that they stopped on that had fresh water, they would put out 2 or 3 little sows and 1 little boar, even if they were just babies, and turn them loose on that island. And said that's why pigs are all over the world, because
Yeah.
they come back as a fresh food source,
Yeah,
fresh.
the commies have got a lot to answer for, haven't they? I mean, here they dumped all their damn, just for their own entertainment, for their hunting and their fox hunting and what have you. They bought foxes and cats and rats and those sorts of things. And of course, particularly here, they've got no predators, and they just went berserk. And pigs, of course, wild pigs and.
The wild pigs in Texas and in most of the United States have just gone crazy.
Yeah, and they're so destructive.
And they tear up more stuff than you could believe.
That's right. Yeah.
And they claim a pig is the smartest 4-legged animal there is.
I'd believe it.
I know if you really start hunting them in an area, they'll just disappear.
Yep.
Well, listen, we've been on here, don't like too long, about 20 minutes, hitting 2 hours. Why don't we shut this thing down tonight?
Yeah, no worries.
I appreciate everybody in the chat coming in, and we'll holler at y'all tomorrow.
All right. Yeah, my Saturday. All right. Good night, everyone.